This guy was a Marine but was discharged to become a mercenary. He served in an organization that specialized in transnational drug robbery. Because of the nature of his job, Yeonjo had to rob contraband from other gangs. The leader of this organization was Anson. Although he was useless, he had many subordinates. Yeonjo's right-hand man was a girl named Na-mi. The two had the same goal, to destroy the GL drug gang, the leader of which was Song-pa. 3 years ago, on a fishing boat, Na-mi and her younger brother had their stomachs cut open by members of the GL gang. They then stuffed drugs into their stomachs to bypass customs and transport them to another country. Unfortunately, Nami's younger brother did not survive. At this moment, Yeonjo and his teammates came to rescue Nami. He pulled Nami and they jumped into the sea together. But in order to cover up the clues, Song-pa fired a rocket, causing the boat to explode immediately, and everyone on board sank into the sea. Since then, Yeonjo vowed to avenge Nami's younger brother and the 12 special forces who died. But the identity of the leader Song-pa remains a mystery. Although Yeonjo has tried to investigate, he has not yet found out who he is. Even the police do not know about the presence of the GL gang in this city, so Yeonjo decided to seek justice himself. First, he and Nami joined Anson's drug robbery organization, then the two secretly followed the GL gang's activities to find clues. In addition, Yeonjo also knew that there was another policeman in this place, Mingjin. Mingjin was the captain of the anti-drug force in this city, so Yeonjo immediately came up with a plan to lure Mingjin to his side. Yeonjo wanted to cooperate with the police to find Song-pa and make him pay. One day, Yeonjo accidentally discovered a pharmaceutical university lecturer who specialized in researching and making drugs for the GL gang. With the chemical formula of the pharmaceutical university lecturer, they created a lot of drugs in the laboratory without growing marijuana. Nami pretended to be a freshman to approach that pharmaceutical university lecturer. The lecturer realized that Nami was being intimate with him, so he led her into a closed room. When entering, Nami was startled to see a girl motionless in the corner of the room. Suddenly, the lecturer rushed to attack her. He put a metal ring around Nami's neck. Then the lecturer pulled the iron chain, making her float in the air. At the same time, outside, Yeonjo disguised himself as a janitor, but unfortunately he was discovered. Yeonjo quickly pulled out a knife and stabbed the lecturer's hand, causing his hand to be stabbed into the table by the knife. The other guy was kicked away by him several meters away. Then Yeonjo threw a knife at the opponent, causing him to stop breathing. The other guy tried to pick up the gun, but was immediately killed by Yeonjo. At this time, Yeonjo entered the lecturer's office. Then the person hanging on the roof was not Nami, but the lecturer. He revealed the drug formula. At this moment, the door to the room was suddenly closed. Many bullets flew through the glass door. It turned out that outside, there was a group of mercenaries from the GL gang in ambush. The firepower was too great, so Yeonjo and Nami quickly escaped. Nami even dragged the lecturer to escape with her. Unexpectedly, Anson ambushed behind the ambushers. After throwing a smoke bomb, he immediately rushed out to beat his opponent. Anson had a very agile movement speed. He disappeared and reappeared continuously like a ghost. Anson beat these soldiers to a pulp. When Anson was knocked off his weapon by a man wearing a bulletproof vest, he immediately pulled out another knife and stabbed the opponent in the leg. Anson broke his leg and smashed his head into the iron bar. Next, Anson kicked a smoke bomb into the lecturer's office. Yeonjo took this opportunity to immediately throw a knife and damage the camera. The lecturer was sitting in a wheelchair and was pushed out. The soldiers thought it was the real professor, so they tried to untie him, but they didn't expect it to be Yeonjo. Namie suddenly rushed out and ambushed him from behind. She grabbed the gun and fired continuously. The two joined forces to fight. With their close combat and shooting skills, the mercenaries were defeated. After dealing with the soldiers, Yeonjo forced the lecturer to reveal where he had researched the drug formula. Immediately after, Yeonjo took the lecturer there and let him go. Yeonjo also left a spider-shaped scar on the lecturer's face. Not long after, police Mingjin arrived here. He saw that the table was full of illegal substances. Not only that, the wall was filled with chemical equations. Mingjin understood that this lecturer was researching a new type of drug. At the same time, many reporters had also arrived. Mingjin quickly splashed paint on the wall and said that if this formula was leaked, anyone could make drugs at home. What puzzled Mingjin was that there was a spider-shaped cut on the professor's face. It turned out that it was the symbol of the GL gang. Yeonjo wanted to secretly let Mingjin know that there was an underground organization in this city that specialized in making and selling drugs. Returning to the police station, Mingjin saw a man with bandages all over his body. Yesterday, he had just come to report that he saw a fishmonger trading drugs, but now the man said that he was seeing things. This made the agents extremely angry and shouted that he was beaten frightened by them, so he didn't dare to tell anything. Then this guy quickly said that this injury was caused by his fault. Because there was no evidence, the fishmonger was released. However, Mingjin paid attention to him and ordered his subordinates to investigate. But Yeonjo arrested the fishmonger first. Then he forced the fishmonger to tell him where the drugs were. At the police station, Tianyu said that she had investigated that the fishmonger worked for the GL gang, which was a mysterious drug trafficking organization that few people knew about. At this time, Li Qing reported that he had just received a video which showed the fishmonger being tortured at the port. Immediately, Mingjin and the whole team equipped themselves with weapons and set out to investigate. From the fishmonger, Yeonjo and Anson had robbed 2 tons of drugs from the GL gang and were letting people transport the goods away. Before that, Yeonjo had secretly sent the video to the police station. The purpose was to lure Mingjin here. Mingjin witnessed that there was a large drug trafficking gang operating here, and the police fell for Yeonjo's trick. In order to play the role of drug robbers, Yeonjo signaled Na-mi to start taking action. She used a gun to puncture the tires of the leading car, causing the driver to lose control. The car blocked the road and sealed the entrance to gate number 1. In addition, Anson's subordinates also began to block the cars going in the direction of gate number 2. They even used fishing nets to prevent the agents from getting out. After that, they continuously shot at the car to create conditions for their accomplices to quickly transport the goods. Mingjin approached through gate number 3. He discovered a group of people transporting goods and immediately felt uneasy. Mingjin suspected that it was drugs because the fishmonger was screaming for help. But before he could act, Yeonjo pulled out a machine gun and shot at his car. The unexpected situation killed the fishmonger on the spot. Mingjin and Tianyu hid behind the car in time. Yeonjo's firepower was too strong, so they couldn't act. Although Anson had only taken half of the drugs, because of the urgent situation, Anson had to let his subordinates take the goods away. While the police at the 3 gates still couldn't do anything, Mingjin suddenly thought of a way. He told Tianyu to quickly draw fire. When Yeonjo changed direction, Mingjin immediately approached the driver's seat and took out a tool to attach to the accelerator. Mingjin then put the car in gear and drove straight towards the opponent. Seeing that, Yeonjo shot at the tire to make the car change direction, but Mingjin shot at the gas tank, causing the car to explode. Seeing that, Yeonjo was very satisfied and lured Mingjin to another place. The two had just entered a frozen room when Mingjin fired continuously, but Yeonjo had a bulletproof vest, so he was not injured. Although he only used a knife, thanks to his excellent martial arts skills, Yeonjo quickly knocked away the police's gun. Yeonjo grabbed an iron hook and pulled Mingjin down. The police were angry and used a table to force Yeonjo against the wall. Yeonjo used a knife to stab through the table. Then he jumped up and kicked Mingjin in the face. The police just grabbed a hammer and knocked away Yeonjo's iron hook. Mingjin stood up and hit the rock with one blow, shattering it. The rock broke and revealed that it was full of drugs, which stunned him for a moment. Yeonjo immediately said that the first time he saw it, he was as stunned as Mingjin. Mingjin didn't say much and continued to fight. Yeonjo's knife skills made it impossible for an elite police officer like Mingjin to counter. However, Yeonjo's purpose was not to kill Mingjin, but to let him know that there were a lot of drugs in this city. Mingjin asked, "This shipment doesn't belong to the other party, right?" Seeing this, Yeonjo was delighted, but the two of them continued to fight in the narrow space. Mingjin had the advantage of holding a sledgehammer in his hand. However, Yeonjo was too quick to attack and almost killed his opponent several times. Mingjin got the chain, so Mingjin also showed his strength. Mingjin threw the hammer at Yeonjo, but Yeonjo easily dodged the attack, despite the police continuously attacking him. Although Mingjin tried his best, he was restrained by Yeonjo. Suddenly, a siren sounded. It was Na-mi signaling everyone to quickly retreat. Yeonjo said that it was time to leave, and after saying that, he released the hammer, and the goods fell down, blocking the door. Yeonjo hurriedly left. Not long after, a police car also arrived to support, so they all rushed forward to prevent Anson from transporting the goods to the port. Anson threw 2 grenades at the police. Then Anson and his subordinates were determined to protect the drugs. A team of divers were waiting at the bottom of the sea. Luckily, they encountered a slope, so the goods rushed out to the shore. Surprisingly, it did not roll straight into the sea, and Sun had to set up a barricade for cover and return fire. He ran out of bullets, so he took the gun of the person next to him, and that person died immediately. Anson used all his strength to finally push the goods down. Then he quickly dived into the water. It turned out that under the sea, there was a whole cable rail system that had been prepared to move the goods to a safe place. Li Qing jumped down to investigate the situation, but it was too late. Mingjin was extremely angry when he saw that a ton of drugs were missing. He returned to the warehouse at the port. A long-haired man said that this was private goods, so the police could not open it. Otherwise, he would sue them immediately. But Mingjin was not afraid. He stepped forward and broke the lock, causing an iceberg to float out. Tianyu swung a hammer and smashed the iceberg, only to discover that inside was full of drugs. After smashing the entire container, Mingjin obtained 1 ton of contraband. Mingjin wondered where this cargo came from, because the police had already arrested all the drug traffickers. Songpa, witnessing the enormous amount of money slipping out of his hands, was extremely resentful. It turned out that he was the mayor of this city, so the mayor was secretly acting as the drug trafficking boss, without anyone knowing. He often appeared on television saying that as long as he still sat on the mayor's chair, drug traffickers could not appear here. But behind this mask, he was the one operating the transnational drug manufacturing network. Songpa had secretly built a drug-making facility under the city's sewer system. To avoid being exposed, he used the budget to invest in a massive wastewater treatment system, but excused it as being for a green environment. After answering a reporter, the mayor immediately ordered his subordinate to bring up some water from the sewer for him to drink so that the reporters could capture that scene. But when he returned home, he immediately vomited. The mayor angrily asked who dared to give him sewer water to drink. He cursed the subordinate as stupid for not knowing to get filtered water for him. Interrupting, Songpa immediately forced that subordinate to drink the cup of water that he had just vomited out. Seeing Mingjin on television destroying the goods, Songpa became even angrier. Right at that moment, a phone call came. It turned out to be partners of the GL gang calling to question. The other side wondered why Songpa had let 2 tons of goods be both robbed and confiscated by the police. A bald guy angrily said that Songpa must send people to capture that kid who stole the drugs for him. Because there was no supply, the partners were extremely upset. The boss Songpa then reassured everyone to stay calm. As long as he was still the mayor, the goods would not be lacking. 1 ton of drugs was seized by the policeman Mingjin, but Songpa could take it back at any time. But first they had to punish the one who had stolen the goods before. After saying that, Songpa began to carry out the plan. At the police station, Mingjin was having a headache because he did not understand what was happening. The only clue Mingjin had was a sketch of Yanzou's face. But when searching the national database, no information about this person could be found because Yanzou was a special forces soldier, so he was under the management of the military. The mayor wanted to borrow the hand of policeman Mingjin to eliminate Yanzhou, so Songpa ordered his subordinates to quickly investigate. After finding the information, they updated Yanzhou's information on the national database system. At the police station, Mingjin was always in a very tense state because up until now, he still had not found the whereabouts of the suspect. Right at this moment, the database was suddenly updated again, and what appeared before Mingjin's eyes was the image of Yanzhou. The information showed that the suspect used to be a Marine, but had now joined a transnational drug robbery syndicate. Recalling when he discovered the contraband hidden in the ice blocks, Yanzhou said that when he first saw it, he was also stunned. The amount of drugs the police had seized was too large. When connecting the clues, Mingjin realized that surely, in this city, there was an organization producing contraband that the police did not know about. Very likely, it was the GL gang. But at present they had no clues about it, so Mingjin had to order his subordinates to investigate the whereabouts of Yanzhou first. After a while of monitoring through security cameras, they discovered Yanzhou was present at a restaurant in the city. When receiving the information, Mingjin immediately ordered the whole team to set out. In just a short time they had arrived, and the snipers had also taken their positions. At this moment, Yanzhou was eating noodles on the second floor, while Mingjin had also deployed the forces to surround the building. Mingjin ordered a few policemen to disguise themselves as customers to approach the target, but Yanzhou quickly realized and then took a gun to hold a staff member hostage. After that, Yanzhou forced the boy to sit opposite him to block the sniper's aim. Yanzhou directly mentioned Mingjin's name, so he had no choice but to appear. The police ordered all subordinates to withdraw and wait for orders. Then Mingjin immediately sat in front of Yanzhou to talk. Mingjin said that Yanzhou could not escape from this place because the police had surrounded the entire building. As long as Mingjin tilted his head, Yanzhou would immediately be shot. Yanzhou gently replied that if he died, then the police would never know how big the drug syndicate in this city was. After saying that, Yanzhou took out a plastic bag with a blue spider symbol and continued speaking. In fact, the police could not find Yanzhou, but it was Yanzhou who wanted wanted the police to find him. Recalling the symbol on the face of the lecturer together with the video of the fish seller, Mingjin suddenly realized that indeed someone had secretly given him a tip. Yeonjo admitted he was about to find the whereabouts of Song Pa, who was the leader of the GL gang. At this moment, Mingjin had fallen into a state of contemplation. In the opposite building, Li Qing observed that there was a problem, so he continuously reminded that the snipers would shoot Yeonjo in the shoulder and then capture him back to the station. That would be done. Seeing that, Yeonjo immediately flicked the knife hidden in his sleeve to cut off the headset wire. Feeling there was a problem, Li Qing immediately ordered the whole team to act. Tianyu intended to rush in, so the preset bomb exploded. Hearing the explosion, Mingjin immediately took out his gun, but he was also held at knife point by Yeonjo. Yeonjo asserted that without him, the police would never be able to catch Song Pa. After saying that, Yeonjo hurriedly left, while Mingjin only watched from behind. Not long after, Mingjin was scolded by the chief. Mingjin revealed to him that Yeonjo was not like a drug trafficker. Furthermore, Mingjin was certain that there was an underground organization in this city that was secretly producing illegal drugs. The chief did not believe what Mingjin said, because over the years the police had sacrificed a lot to fight those criminals. After speaking, the chief gave Mingjin a prepared script for the interview. During the press conference about the confiscation of a ton of drugs at the port, Mingjin was hesitant about whether or not to say what he knew, but the chief sitting below signaled, so Mingjin could not disobey. In the end, Mingjin had to read according to the script. The drugs with the spider symbol were definitely imported from abroad, and in this city, no one could escape the hands of the police. Mingjin had just finished speaking when Na-mi suddenly appeared. She said that she had evidence that the goods were packaged at the port and were about to be shipped to another country, so she was sure that there was a drug syndicate hiding in this city. Seeing that, the director immediately spoke up, saying that she was a reporter who specialized in creating fake news. At this time, Mingjin also said that he had the same suspicion as her, but everyone did not have to worry because the police would definitely bring those criminals to justice. Everyone agreed with Mingjin's opinion, but at this time, the director was extremely angry. He thought that because of Mingjin, he was now humiliated. Finally, the director decided that from now on, he would be in charge of this case. In another development, Yeonjo was putting Na-mi on the sofa and watching TV when suddenly a large truck rushed in. It turned out that according to the chemical formula of the pharmacy lecturer, when preparing drugs, a lot of wastewater would be produced. So Yeonjo sent Anson to investigate. They discovered that these people were operating shady activities. This was the car of the GL gang. Yeonjo said that after finding out who Song Pa was, the money and drugs would be Anson's and Song Pa's life would be Yeonju's. At this moment, suddenly a group of assassins surrounded Yeonjo and Anson, along with Na-mi. One of them hit Yeonjo hard on the back of the neck, making him faint. On the GL gang's side, Song Pa was having fun with the beautiful girls, but unexpectedly, the girls suddenly locked his hands and feet. Then the screen in front of him showed a partner of Song Pa. It turned out that because there were no drugs to trade, the partner had sent someone to warn Song Pa. The bald man threatened that if there were no goods, Song Pa would no longer sit in the mayor's chair. Being pushed to the end, Song Pa had no choice but to please his partner. He promised to release the goods from the police station in 2 days. Then his subordinate, named An Long, announced an important news. He had recently caught 3 drug robbers at the port. Then An Long laughed smugly, but he didn't know that he had fallen into a trap. It turned out that before that, Yeonjo sent Anson to rob the sewage treatment vehicle. The purpose was to lure An Long to send his subordinates to arrest him. Thanks to that, Yeonjo knew that Song Pa was the mayor of this city. When the plan was successful, Yeonjo, Na-mi and Anson immediately took action. In a short time, An Long and his subordinates in prison were dealt with. Song Pa took this opportunity to rise up. He tried to escape the girl's grip. At this time, Yeonjo revealed that 3 years ago, the mayor had launched a torpedo that killed 12 Marines and many innocent people. Yeonjo swore to capture Song Pa to avenge the innocent. After saying that, Yeonjo carved a spider image on An Long's face. Seeing that, Song Pa replied that he would always wait for Yeonjo to arrest him. Song Pa angrily grabbed the remote control and hit it hard, causing the TV to break. The next day, the director received a phone call from the mayor. The mayor asked the director to quickly escort the drugs to a safe place for destruction. Hearing this, Mingjin immediately disobeyed the order, thinking that doing so was no different from offering drugs to criminals. But the director still refused to change his mind. Mingjin could do nothing against his superior's orders. Mingjin could only continue to investigate, forgetting to eat and sleep. Tianyu had liked Mingjin for a long time, so he was extremely worried, but Mingjin kicked her out. Seeing this, Li Qing was extremely sad because he had secretly liked Tianyu for a long time. The next day, the director mobilized all of his most elite forces to escort a ton of drugs to the destruction site. The truck containing the drugs was protected by 2 special forces vehicles behind, while the director's vehicle was in the lead. It was thought that no one would dare to attack, but when the 2 leading vehicles had just passed the intersection, the light suddenly turned green. Immediately, many vehicles rushed forward to surround the 2 vehicles, carrying special forces, and even the soldiers inside could not open the doors to escape. The director noticed a problem but still ordered the car to continue moving, but as soon as his car entered a tunnel, 2 sewage treatment vehicles blocked the road. The workers guided the police car slowly through the small gap. Suddenly, a lot of septic tank water started to flow out. The workers pretended to be out of control. They sprayed it all over the windshield, blocking the view. The director thought this was just a rare incident, so he ordered his subordinates to go down and check. Li Qing and Tianyu realized there was danger, so they asked everyone to stop, but the workers ignored it and continued to discharge water all over the road. Suddenly, a man in boots appeared. He held an electric shocker and pressed it to the ground, causing the police force to faint on the spot. The director tried to pull out a gun to attack, but was also electrocuted. Receiving Song Pa's order, the henchman immediately broke the lock and jumped up to check the goods. Mingjin suddenly appeared and shot the 2 men, causing them to fall backwards. The assassins immediately rushed forward. One of them held an electric shock and hit Mingjin, causing him to drop his weapon. Mingjin had only his hands, so he wrapped plastic around his hands. Then, Mingjin grabbed the electric shock and pointed it at the men. In the end, the 2 men fell to the street. Suddenly, a car rushed forward. The gunner aimed straight at Mingjin and shot, causing him to fall backwards. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the gunners immediately rushed forward and continuously attacked Mingjin. It turned out that the person who fired the shots was Yanzhou. He got out of the car to greet Mingjin and closed the truck. Then Yanzhou removed the GPS device and drove the drug truck away. A moment later, Tianyu woke up and saw the GL gang preparing to drive away in a large truck. Seeing that, Tianyu jumped on the back of the truck to follow them. In another development, Yanzhou opened the truck and saw that Mingjin was still alive. At this time, the policeman looked extremely tired. Mingjin tried to raise his fist towards Yanzhou, but in the end, he passed out from exhaustion. After waking up, Yanzhou fed the police a piece of raw salmon. Then he went straight to the main point. Yanzhou wanted Mingjin to join his team. As soon as he finished speaking, Yanzhou called Name to take off her shirt, and Yanzhou showed Mingjin the scar on her stomach. Yanzhou revealed that Nami had her stomach cut open by the GL gang and drugs stuffed inside, and that his 12 teammates had been blown to pieces by Songpa with a rocket. Unexpectedly, Anson said that after eliminating Songpa, Anson would take over the underworld. Unexpectedly, Nami twisted Anson's arm and threw him down, then kicked him straight in the face, causing him to roll onto the floor. Yanzhou stepped forward to assert his sovereignty, pointed a gun at Anson's head, and reminded him not to touch Nami. Seeing this, Anson agreed to go somewhere else. Mingjin said that no one would escape and they would be brought to justice. Nami immediately spoke up that without them, the police in this city would not have discovered the tons of drugs. Yanzhou asked Mingjin what he would do if he had this truck of drugs to comply with the law. Mingjin answered without hesitation that he would destroy them. Seeing that, Yanzhou took a timed bomb and threw it straight into the truck. When Yanzhou was about to press the detonation button, the killer's phone rang at the same time. It turned out to be a group call. Yanzhou did not answer the phone, but threw it to Mingjin. On the other end of the line was a girl from the GL gang. Policewoman Tianyu followed, but could not do anything and was taken hostage. The woman in front of the screen threatened Mingjin that if she still did not see the truck in 3 hours, Tianyu would go into drug shock. After hanging up, Yanzhou gave Mingjin the device that controlled the bomb. Yanzhou told the police to follow the law. Mingjin could not destroy the shipment. Mingjin had no choice but to drive the truck away. Seeing this, Anson immediately called his subordinates to chase after him to rob it back. As Yanzhou had expected, Mingjin drove the truck to the meeting point to exchange. But Yanzhou was very smart. He set the timer for the bomb to explode after 3 minutes. The GL gang's subordinates went up to check the goods, but they did not detect the presence of the bomb. They thought that the woman would release Tianyu, but unexpectedly she injected the drug into the policewoman. This drug makes the user feel like 1,000 spiders are biting their body. Mingjin tried to rush forward but was immediately subdued. After checking the goods, they released Mingjin, but it was too late. Tianyu started foaming at the mouth and had a seizure due to drug shock. Suddenly, a rain of bullets came. It turned out that Anson had come to demand the drugs back. Immediately a battle broke out. Taking that opportunity, Mingjin took Tianyu into hiding. Then he called Li Qing to send troops to support. To prevent the drugs from destroying Tianyu's body, Mingjin put her in a water tank and then filled it with ice to lower her temperature. Knowing that she could not survive, Tianyu decided to confess her feelings to Mingjin. She said she wished for a next life so she could be with the person she loved. Outside, the woman from the GL gang kicked Anson in the groin. Suddenly, the bomb in the trunk exploded and turned the drugs into ashes. Seeing his teammates coming downstairs, Mingjin quickly carried Tianyu to the ambulance, but got caught in the rope and tripped. It turned out that Anson was angry because Mingjin had blown up the drugs, so he tried to rush in and attack, not letting Mingjin leave. Tianyu was half awake and half asleep and could not stand up. She kept saying that in her next life she would still order food for everyone. She even recited the dishes that her teammates like. Mingjin tried to rush in and take Tianyu downstairs, but Anson pulled him back again. Anson thought that because Mingjin had detonated his drugs, the policeman now had to watch his comrade die in front of him. Mingjin had a rope wrapped around his leg, making it difficult for him to escape from Anson. Mingjin tried to use his leg to wrap a steel wire around Anson's neck, but Anson cleverly cut the rope. Mingjin was restrained again, and he saw that Tianyu was about to collapse. Mingjin seemed to have more strength to break Anson's arm. Then he turned around and kicked Anson hard. Anson was thrown far away and had his leg broken by a gas tank. Without thinking much, Mingjin quickly carried Tianyu downstairs, but it was probably too late. Anson still tried to chase after him. He pulled the safety pin, determined to fight Mingjin to the death. Li Qing immediately rushed out and punched him straight in the chin, and the bomb flew away. Yanzhou and Nami watched from afar. The two knew that Mingjin would definitely return to their team after this, because not only did Tianyu lose his life, but Mingjin was also arrested and taken to the police station for investigation on suspicion of being involved in a drug organization. The person who had the hardest time accepting this truth was Li Qing. He angrily said that Mingjin was the one who killed Li Qing. Although he was heartbroken, Mingjin could do nothing more. At this moment, his subordinate reported that a defense lawyer had come to find Mingjin. It turned out that Yanzhou was pretending to come here to meet Mingjin. After the door was closed, Yanzhou said that he had found GL's secret base, which was underground. The wastewater from drug preparation had been treated. If it was not treated, they would use a septic tank truck to transport it out and dump it into the sea. Hearing the word wastewater treatment, Mingjin immediately thought that Song Pa was the mayor, because he had invested a large amount of money in this system in an unusual way. Yanzhou said that after losing the goods, he would increase production, and this was their opportunity. Li Qing returned to his desk and saw that Yanzhou's photo looked a bit familiar. Recalling earlier, Li Qing realized that the blind lawyer looked suspicious, so Li Qing immediately took the gun and went to look for him. But suddenly a car drove straight into the police station and destroyed everything. It turned out to be Nami. She threw tear gas, causing the agents to be stunned and unable to fight back. A subordinate went in to report to the captain and was knocked down by Yanzhou. Then Yuzhou had Mingjin remove the handcuffs and went out. Unexpectedly, Yanzhou was blocked by a policeman. He pretended to kneel down and waited for a chance to act. When Mingjin found out, he stopped him by shooting at the fire extinguisher. When he went outside, he found that the place was full of smoke. Suddenly, Li Qing opened fire, causing his two teammates to only have time to lie in the trunk of the car. On the other side, because the plan failed, Song Pa was scolded as an idiot, and he began to promise that he would personally direct production in the sewers. Immediately after, Song Pa went directly to the secret passage to command the drug preparation. At this time, Yanzhou had the flycam follow him, and he immediately informed his teammates that their plan had officially begun. They thought that the three of them would work together. Yanzhou and Nami wore masks and hats to look like GL gang members. Then they suddenly opened fire and called Song Pa's subordinates to capture Mingjin. It turned out that Yanzhou wanted Mingjin to distract the assassin to find Song Pa. On the other side, through the camera, Song Pa discovered that Mingjin had broken in here, and he immediately ordered the woman to increase the number of assassins to destroy the enemy. Mingjin was running away when he met Yanzhou. They saw that the mercenaries were approaching in large numbers, so the two of them rushed forward to destroy them. Mingjin was the captain of the anti-drug force, so he fought them very decisively. He even gave Yanzhou a stick to increase his fighting ability. Because of limited ammunition, the two had to save it. However, these assassins were no match for them, so they were beaten to a pulp. The two worked together very well. After a while of fighting, the two of them destroyed all the assassins outside. At this time, Nami announced that they had found the secret room. Yanzhou and Mingjin approached from below. Nami gently attacked the two gatekeepers from above. Yanzhou and Mingjin rushed in to deal with the remaining two. Once they had everyone under control, Yanzhou immediately went to Song Pa. But when he was about about to attack, Mingjin stopped him. Mingjin took out his headphones and called the special forces to rush in. It turned out that Mingjin had known that Yanzhou would take advantage of him, so he told Li Qing to trust him again. Yanzhou was stunned to know he was tricked. He signaled Nami to rush down and control Mingjin. Taking that opportunity, Yanzhou intended to end everything, but unexpectedly, this person was not Songpa. The mayor had used someone else to die in his place. On the guy in front of him was a timed bomb, and there were only 3 seconds left before the bomb exploded. Seeing that, Nami immediately rushed forward to push Yanzhou away and used her body to shield him. A terrible explosion occurred. Yanzhou watched his beloved die in front of him, making him extremely miserable. Under the pressure of the explosion, underground water broke the wall and gushed out, drowning everything. The special forces also quickly ran out. Songpa's partner, who was defecating, was also pushed over by the water. At this time, Songpa appeared, but he did not expect Yanzhou to still be alive. The mayor was scared and hurriedly ran out the back door. At this time, the special forces also came to capture him. They even used rockets to shoot concrete on the woman in the gang. Although she cried for help, Songpa ignored her and jumped onto the canoe. He took out a machine gun and continuously fired bullets inside. Whether it was his men or the police, they all died tragically. When he was about to leave, Yanzhou suddenly appeared. His subordinate quickly fired and started the canoe to rush out. Yanzhou immediately drove the G63 on the side of the road to chase after him. To lose Yanzhou, Songpa took out the machine gun and continued to fire bullets towards the shore. Yanzhou also took out his gun to counterattack, but because he still had to drive, it was a bit difficult. When the car rushed over the platform, Songpa took this opportunity to shoot straight at the gas tank on the side of the road and created a huge explosion. He thought he had defeated his enemy, so he breathed a sigh of relief. But Songpa did not expect that Yanzhou was still alive and continued to chase. When he got to a bridge, Yanzhou turned the wheel and drove the car straight down. Then he opened the door to get ready to jump out, but missed. Songpa thought he had escaped a second time, but suddenly, Yanzhou grabbed onto the side of the boat without knowing it. Yanzhou kicked his subordinate into the water. Then Yanzhou pulled out a knife and slashed the mayor's gun-wielding hand. Yanzhou carved a spider on his face. Songpa struggled and jumped into the sea to escape, and Yanzhou did not chase after him. When Songpa returned home, he saw that the police had surrounded the area. Knowing that everything had been exposed, Songpa got into the car and was about to leave, but Yanzhou suddenly appeared and locked the car door, causing Songpa to panic. When he used a hammer to break the glass door and crawled out, the car exploded. The police saw this and immediately surrounded Songpa and took him to the station for interrogation. Seeing that Songpa did not say a word, a female police officer gave him a cup of tea, but as soon as he drank it, Songpa rushed to the bathroom. At this time, Yanzhou appeared again, holding a knife to threaten Songpa, making Songpa scared. Songpa rushed out and said that he would tell everything immediately. After that, the partners and those involved were all arrested. The innocent people who were captured by them and had drugs stuffed into their stomachs to bypass customs were rescued. A ton of drugs was also found at the bottom of the sea. Songpa was finally sentenced to death by lethal injection. The next day, Yanzhou visited Nami's grave. He looked at the grave next to him and was shocked because it was Yanzhou. It turned out that both Yanzhou and Nami died in the explosion. Before dying, Yanzhou told Mingjin to rescue 2,000 missing people who were taken by the GL gang to transport drugs. Yanzhou gave the policeman a knife and believed that he would represent justice, so Mingjin put on a mask and did everything. They paid the price, but unfortunately, Yanzhou couldn't see it. Finally, everything is over. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye, and see you again.